I've now pressed the on-air button.
We're live.
Because otherwise we're going to be 5 minutes late. It does say we're on air. Would you like to confirm that we're on air? This was chaos. And the irony with this whole thing is that you got here.
It says live, but there's no picture. Oh, there it is.
Yeah, you turned up about 2.5 hours ago and we were going to be nice and prepared. And then once again, as the stream starts, we're late. Which is a little bit disappointing. But there we go. Thank you so much for everyone that's waiting. Feel free to comment about the audio and the video. Carl, editor Carl, is here and he's manning the laptop. So if we have any issues, we can sort them. But hello and welcome to this stream. It's been a weird old week, hasn't it? So essentially the whole point of this stream was to just chat about everything that's been going on. That is everything graphics cards. We've got 2 new launches. We've got one from AMD, one from NVIDIA. We've got the 7600. We've got the 4060 Ti. And depending on which outlet you watch your content from, some of the reviews have been very different. I've seen one review on the 4060 Ti that said editor's choice, and I've heard other ones that say, what was it, waste of sand, apparently.
Waste of sand, yeah.
And yeah, do not buy. So is the truth somewhere in the middle, or is it either of those? I mean, let's be honest, I don't think it's editor's choice. But yeah, what we wanted to do today was essentially just go through and answer all of the questions about it. We've got 2 different rigs made up here, and both of these rigs are actually on the channel if you want to watch that after this stream, or now, if you're bored of the sound of my voice, you can go and watch another video with just my voice in. That doesn't sound very logical, but you can do that if you want. And both of these can be hooked up because we do have our magical, hang on a second, technical difficulties. We do have, look, our computer hooked up. We've got picture in picture. This is wild. And we can actually do some live benchmarking here today of either card. And let us know in the comments what sort of games you want us to test. And the reason that I wanted to show off some gameplay at some point in this video anyway, is because I think graphs don't always tell the full story, and I don't know, it's tricky. This is, in some ways it's worse than the 4070 Ti launch, because the 4070 Ti launch was a very good product at a price that was way too high. And then the issue you've got at the moment is the 7600 is kind of being eaten alive a little bit. That's too strong. It's been eaten up a little bit, certainly in the review cycle anyway, versus the old cards from the previous generation. Essentially, you've got the 7600 that has worked its way up to 6650 XT level performance, but you can buy that card for the same sort of price. So the question is, what are you actually launching? Because you're launching something that has slightly better power efficiency, maybe something that might be slightly quieter, but performance-wise should be about the same, right, Carl?
Yeah, basically, yeah. You're not really gaining much from a 7600 to a 6650 XT, and the price is more or less the same.
Yeah, I mean, I saw in some other reviews that the ray tracing performance is better, but actually in our provisional benchmarks that we've done are not yet complete, which is why we haven't shown them off yet. In our ray tracing, we didn't actually see a major difference between the 6650 and the 7600, so that might just be a per game basis. This is something we're going to be investigating, but I've certainly seen in Cyberpunk that the newer 7600 actually performs, I say decently. I mean, whether you'd want to turn it on is up to you. That's the same with all ray tracing, regardless whether you're on 4090 all the way down to a 3050. But yeah, if it performs better, that is good, but we're not quite at 0 FPS wastage sort of level. Anyway, have we got people in the chat, Carl?
Yeah, we've got plenty of people in the chat. We've got a few comments coming in. Someone here.
Where are my boxes?
Kyle's C810. 7600 is $50 too expensive. So they think it should be around the $210, $220.
And this is one of the things we did actually want to talk about, really, because it's one of the major factors is price. Because I think in a nutshell, our verdict is the 7600. I mean, we don't mind it, to be honest.
No,
I thought for the people that sort of need this level of performance, it offers it. It's just, okay, let's jump this to a little bit later topic, talk about it now. When we're talking about price, you've got to remember that videos are static. We make this off of the pricing information that we're given by AMD, Intel, NVIDIA, and it changes. So when there's an MSRP, what we've traditionally had over the last few years has been, oh, let's say there's a product launched at £400. You might find graphics cards that are selling for 530 because they've got a better cooler, which is obviously pretty ridiculous and no one really should be buying those sort of cards. Then we got into the pandemic level when everything was so extortionately priced, the MSRP meant nothing. And now when it comes to AMD cards, those cards are way under the RRP. So essentially, you've got two ways of looking at this card. You could look at it as, well, it's not really particularly fantastic news because the performance is about the same and the price is about the same as what we've got, so it doesn't really offer anything new. Or you could look at it another way, which is to say, well, the MSRP of this is way lower than the 6600 was, yet it has more performance, so it's a no-brainer. This is a brilliant product. But of course, the truth, as always, is pretty much in the middle of that, which is as long as you're prepared to wait a little bit to see what happens to the pricing, all should pretty much become clear, really, because I think there was a bit in the video that we cut out that probably shouldn't have cut out. I don't even remember which video it was. I'm pretty sure it was this one, where we sort of talked about, it was at the end, and we like to make the end quick, but we shouldn't make the end quick, where we essentially say with the advice with this card is just to wait a little bit, because I think there's going to be quite a lot of stock going around of the older generation, and that one of a few things is going to happen, which is either all of the older stock is just going to sell out because people will look at this and they go, yeah, I'll save some money, I'll get the older one. Or what happened for me when I bought my second 680 and had SLI, because I was really cool, back in the day, which was that sort of stock wasn't really selling. And then eventually they were just mad price cuts just to get rid of it. And to actually illustrate this point, I am now going to get up some pricing for you. So if we change over to this, we turn on picture-in-picture so you can still see me. This is Scan. This is not in any way sponsored by Scan. Sounds like the BBC. Other hardware stores are available. Here we've got the 4060 Ti, and sure enough, we do have some at the MSRP, which is good. It's what we want. I'm not saying that the MSRP, the price that they set, is good. I'm saying the fact that you can get it at the price, at least that's meant to be, is good. But look at this. What do you think of this, Carl? Look, are you ready for this? We go price high to low. Most expensive one, £481 for an 8 gig 4060 Ti. Would you buy that?
No.
Are you sure? It's got 3 fans though, Carl. It's got 3.
I don't care how many fans it has.
It's got 3. This one's in white. I mean, if that isn't worth the money, I don't know what is. So yes, this is the classic problem anyway. If you are going to be buying a 4060 Ti, make sure you're at least getting one that's at RRP. But don't worry, we'll be talking about it, the price, in a second. But the point is, here you've got the 4060 Ti. What would you now expect to happen to the stock of the 3060 Ti on Scan? What would you expect, Carl? I know you know the answer because we looked before. But what would you expect to happen to the price? Bearing in mind that there's, you know, best case scenario about 10% performance difference between the 3060 Ti and the 4060 Ti. But as we now know, it does actually vary depending on the resolution. You get better results 1080p than you do at 4K.
Yeah, I think obviously the prices will go down. That is obvious. But I think the biggest point is they'll likely just kind of disappear. So we now go on the 3060 Ti and the price is basically the same. So the cheapest one is 360. There's a great offer in this little red text here. You can get a MSI 3060 Ti for 371. So again, going back to the 4060 Ti, 389, basically the same. So what will happen to all of this 3060 Ti stock, as from what I have read and understand anyway, is they're no longer going to be making these GPUs, so eventually they will that'll be the end of it. But yeah, you would expect that you'd get some really great clearance deals, and I still think you will. They will happen because educated consumers will know now not to buy a 3060 Ti unless you can get one for a good price. But yeah, bit of an odd one why it hasn't changed just yet, but maybe it's just there's a delay in the system. That's probably most likely, isn't it, Carl? Yeah, it's going to take a while for prices to update from the other retailers, and if they can sell it for basically the maximum price, they're going to leave it there as long as they can until they have to reduce
That's
price.
true. And I actually have to say, I do feel a little bit sorry for the board partners in all of this, because I think it's a bit of a tricky space for them really at the moment, where I don't think I mean, obviously they have control, but I don't think they have necessarily as much control over their products as they might like. When you think what happened to AMD, for instance, or what AMD chose to do, which was to lower the price down of the 7600, literally, was it 2 days? Some people said a day before the review, but I think that's probably the day before they filmed whatever. But I heard about the pricing, I think it was Monday, and the AMD embargo was Wednesday. Could be wrong on that, but point is, it was very close, last minute price drop. So the question is, and we don't know the answer to this, the question is, who pays for that? If something's now £30 cheaper, or whatever it is, what happens to that £30? I mean, some of that's government tax, some of that disappears in the UK, VAT, so okay, slight saving there, but is it AMD that takes that hit, or is it the board partners? Well, we don't really know, do we?
No.
Is it, maybe it's a mix?
Maybe, yeah. Maybe this is all starting to prove EVGA's point from about a year ago now, isn't it? Like we said before.
Potentially,
there's a reason EVGA got out. Is this why? Did they see this coming?
Yeah, I mean, if I were to guess, I would say, well, I don't know. It's difficult to say. I mean, let us know in the comments. It's just, I think there's, especially when NVIDIA is obviously selling their Founders Edition cards that are actually really good. I mean, it used to be when the Founders Edition cards came out that they weren't bad, they just weren't necessarily good enough.
They were loud and hot, whereas now they're quiet and cool.
Yeah, you've gone from being, oh, this is the graphics card, this performs great and has decent enough cooling. If you want to buy a more expensive one that potentially could last longer, maybe get a longer warranty with a certain person, or it looks cooler, but more importantly, it literally is cooler. It runs quieter and it runs at a lower temperature. That makes sense. But obviously what you've got now is you've got these Founders Edition cards that come out that in a lot of cases, let's be honest, are better than the cards that are sold by the AMBs at the same price. That's not always the case. Don't get me wrong, that's not always the case, but certainly the design, I think a lot of people would agree that the design of the Founders Edition cards can be more tasteful, better built, and just look nicer than the ones that you can get from the add-in board partners, and they've all got to sort of sell these for the exact same price. I mean, just, I don't know, I mean, it's business, right? Is business fair? But that doesn't, it's not ideal, is it?
No. It's been around for years, though. There's always been the Asus ROG Strix model, which costs £100 to £200 more, depending on the version. It's nothing new, and people always paid it.
But people did, and I mean, even if you go back to 1080, I had a Strix card for that. Asus sent me a review sample of that. I think Gareth's been using that recently until did it die? I don't really remember what happened to that one. But that was a dual slot card, and their cooling on that was arguably nowhere near as good as what you have today, probably because it was limited by the 2 slots. But then, even if you spent top dollar, there was still more on the table, whereas now, especially things like these 4090s and things, like you've got so much cooling, you've got way more cooling than you need, that you don't need to spend the money in the first place. So by having all of these companies trying to sort of throw these more expensive graphics cards at you, with cooling potential that you don't need, it's just a bit crap for everyone, really. Yeah. Isn't it? Because I don't know.
I'll quickly jump in. We've got a few super chats that have come through. We've got one from
Super Chat.
Super Chat. That's what they're called, isn't it?
Yeah. Oh no, I wasn't. I was like, oh, have we actually? Oh.
Awesome. $10 from Bradley Cochran. He's asked, what do you think of the RX 6950 XT? Should he upgrade? It's currently
this is a good question.
£600. It's 4070 money.
This is, this is a bit of a tricky one. I'm seeing this a lot online. These AMD graphics cards have come down in price a lot. They're a no-brainer, right? Not necessarily, because it's a more powerful graphics card in terms of it actually consumes more power. And that might not sound like a big deal, and to some people it won't be. But it means that you have a bigger cooler, which might not fit in your case. Again, might not matter to you. But it produces a lot of heat, and it produces a fair bit of noise, which again, might not bother you whatsoever. But what I've found when I've been testing some of these really top-end cards especially in the summer, your room gets so hot and the fans have to ramp up to cope with all of this heat that you do get a noticeably not quite as good gaming experience as you might for a card that might cost similar but then not have these power efficiency problems. And again, it's going to depend entirely on your personal preferences and whether you're willing to go for this. But if you need a more expensive power supply, it chucks out more heat and it's louder, in my eyes, that would bother me. But again, that's me. I actually downgraded. This is so like first world problems. I apologize. This is like tech YouTuber problems now. I actively downgraded from a 3090 Ti to a 3080 Ti. Because, and it had, even though the 3090 Ti had more performance, more VRAM, that card was too loud. It drove me insane. It was on the desk, because obviously, you know, PC gamer, I want to show it off. It was on the desk next to me. I took it out. It drove me up the wall. And I know I'm probably more sensitive to this than some other people, but that's always worth considering. But if you can get a card that has a lot more performance, especially if you buy a used graphics card as well, if you can get a card that has a lot more performance than something that's brand new, then sort of makes sense. Oh, what are we on now?
Picture in picture.
Are we? Oh. No, it says I'm on camera 1 there. What? What have you got?
Oh, my stream was delayed.
Oh, okay. Context there, Cole tried to save the stream because he thought we were stuck on...
For some reason, I was like 5 minutes.
Yeah, we thought we were stuck on the pricing, but we're not, so all good.
We've got another super chat from.
Well, have I answered that question properly? Basically, it depends. Check the performance levels, but then also check your power supply and whether you're willing to go for like a bigger card that will produce more heat, because it might bother you, it might not, but don't discount those things because they are genuinely potentially more important than you think.
Yeah, if you can save 200 watts of power every time you use your gaming PC, that's quite significant.
Yeah, it'll add up. It'll add up. Depends though, if your mum's paying for the bill.
Who cares? Who
cares? Used to do that RuneScape. Used to ring up, be on the call for 5 minutes. Get that membership.
I need that membership.
Yeah. Next super chat.
Kordak YT, €3 from him. Will the RTX 4000 series increase in price? I don't think it's going to go up.
RTX 4000.
4000. They're already coming down. I think from like the last few months,
they
everything's
are
coming down a little bit.
But a little bit. I mean, yeah, we live in the world, and this is something I do want to get across as well. And this isn't to bash any outlet. This isn't to bash any YouTuber, anything. But we do seem to live in the world at the moment where it is all about maximum noise, and negativity at the moment seems to be what sells. And as I said in the 4060 Ti apology video, I think I got that one wrong. I got the conclusion of that video wrong. I should have been harsher on this graphics card. That's on me. However, I do think to say that the 7600 is dead on arrival, that's too far, personally. I don't agree with that.
For the sake of $20, I think.
Which will almost certainly, over the next few months, probably go down anyway.
And literally today we've looked at them on scan, and there is one which is £10 under the launch price.
Yeah. I mean, maybe it's different in the UK as well, yeah, maybe, you know, to be fair.
Maybe the UK price is completely different to the US and Australia, so we don't really know.
No. Yeah, but definitely worth thinking about anyway, because it's the most important thing. And as we ramp up this PC, I just want to sort of illustrate essentially what the 4060 Ti will get you in terms of frame rate, so we can move on to the next point essentially we're going to make. While the 4060 Ti and its 8 GB of VRAM issue is a big one, when you're buying a graphics card, the #1 most important thing to do is to do your research and to understand what sort of frame rate you need to achieve. Because I don't think the 4060 Ti is a bad product. It's just a bit of a weird one because it's got two fundamental issues, really, which is that it's not got enough memory for the price, because the long-term longevity of this at 8 GB of VRAM will cause issues, make no mistake, might not be in every game. And then, yeah, the price is just is too high. You've got the combination of those two things. However, does that make it a terrible product? Does it make the worst thing that's ever been released? No. And allow me to demonstrate why. Picture-in-picture. I love it. What you're seeing now is Apex Legends in hopefully silky smooth 60 FPS on the stream. And this is running at 220 frames a second at 1080p. Is that worth it? Is that worth it for £390? Well, probably not for most people. And again, there's other graphics cards available that will give you similar frame rate for similar money, and some of them, like the AMD card, will have more VRAM, which is why this has been so quite rightly critiqued. But to say that this is like just completely rubbish and unusable, all of this stuff, I don't think is quite accurate. I mean, I don't know, what do you reckon, Carl? 265 FPS, does that sound like a terrible GPU to you? This is running at just under ultra settings.
Yeah, and I think this is one of the games that is, well, it's the third most popular game on Steam. So it's obviously a game people are going to want to play, and if you can hit nearly 300 FPS on 1080p,
yeah,
which is, yeah, it's hard to say. It's not a bad product. It's
no,
just...
I think if this card was maybe £325, and you specifically play Apex Legends at 1440p, you know, Fortnite at 1080p, anything like that. This is kind of like the, what's the right way of saying this? If you're like, you play esports games, like the more, like your Overwatch type game, you know, the one that, and we're not talking CSGO, Dota, like games that do require a decent graphics card, but obviously not like top tier AAA. That is basically where I think the 4060 Ti does actually excel. You know, it's kind of a shame that NVIDIA haven't given enough VRAM, because it's essentially demoted its, I guess, its position. It's not really a card that you can recommend for single player games, because again, while most of them still will be fine now with 8 GB of VRAM, make no mistake, but there are quite a few coming out now that, regardless of whether they're unoptimized ones or they're just really heavy games, that 8 GB of VRAM is going to cause you an issue. But I think 250 to 280 FPS at 1080p is going to be very attractive to people that want to play Apex and want to have one of these super fancy high-end monitors. That's, I guess, what I was trying to get across in the build video when we were talking about the performance, because the frame rate of this card can be very good. However, it's disappointing that after, what, about 2 years of development, we've gone from anywhere between sort of 0% performance improvement to about 12 in terms of raw rasterization. That isn't quite so good at 1440p or 4K. You're limited in terms of memory bus and obviously the 8 GB of VRAM. And I guess we just sort of expected to have more performance. I also do want to say as well, this is by no means a defend NVIDIA stream whatsoever, but DLSS 3 and things are very useful features, and this is something that obviously you don't get on the AMD graphics cards. I think AMD do need to catch up a little bit, and I know that they are. But I think if the price of this does come down to, yeah, nearer the £325 mark, it could start to make a lot of sense to multiplayer gamers anyway. But feel free to disagree. This is the whole point of this. This is meant to be an open discussion anyway, to sort of give you what's on my mind anyway. But yeah, that's Apex Legends.
Somebody's requested Fortnite at competitive settings.
Okay, but I do want to very quickly add in as well before we proceed. We have the AMD PC set up as well. So if you'd rather see, and we will go over to it, but if you'd rather see the 7600, we will do that. This is not a pro NVIDIA stream whatsoever. At the current price, 8 GB of VRAM on this card, not really enough. 16 GB at 500, we do think is too expensive for like £500 for a 60 Ti. We think that's too expensive.
Do you want to hear the poll votes? It seems relevant right now.
Yep.
So the minimum amount of VRAM you think is expected on GPUs under £500. Top answer is 12 gigabytes. 44% of the vote. 31% think 16 gigabytes. Well, I think 12's acceptable.
What was the VRAM on the 3080 Ti was 12, am I right?
Was it 11? Was it 11? No, that was 2080 Ti was 11. Yeah, I think it was 12 on the 3080 Ti. Yeah.
Because 10 gig was the 1080, and then they released the 12 gig version.
Yeah.
It seems like we've very quickly gone from you know, 6 gig, 8 gig of VRAM, it's fine. And now suddenly it's like, we need loads, we need loads, we need loads. When I still don't think that is entirely the case. It depends what you play. And yeah, one of the reviews that I saw anyway, like reviewing this card, the one that gave it the Editor's Choice Award, I spoke to the sort of owner of that outlet and sort of asked like why it got the Editor's Choice Award. Not in like a, why have you done this sort of way, just genuine interest. And the straight answer we got back was, well, all of the games we tested, we didn't run into any of these issues. We didn't see any of these issues. And that's kind of what happened to us really, which, you know, I don't think is good enough personally. I mean, you know, I hold myself to that standard. So, you know, my opinion is our job to be more educated on if there are these games causing these problems. We need to be doing the testing in them. But it is also worth bearing in mind that 8 gigabytes of VRAM still in, what would you say, like 98, 99% of all titles ever.
Yeah.
But what's that in terms of recent releases, really? I guess that's the point. The percentage of recent releases on PC that could run into VRAM issues is actually on the high side.
Yeah, it's also difficult because there's a lot of titles, I think, that have obviously brought this into attention.
Fortnite's not working properly, by the way. Like, I am trying. It's not coming up.
Like The Last of Us, people have had issues with that.
But then that is
Hogwarts,
such an unoptimized
Halo,
mess. I personally don't count that.
Which is also awkward because Hogwarts, I played that when it came out. I've completed
What did you play that on, card-wise?
3070 Ti.
And that's got 8 gig of VRAM.
Yes.
So you have like the highest end card that has 8 gigabytes of VRAM.
And I did have issue. I thought it was the game.
Yeah.
I thought it was like, what is this? This is
this unoptimized game.
Stupid crap unoptimized game. Turns out it was VRAM issue. And then obviously when I tried benchmarking with other cards, I was like, oh, this is what the game should look like. And it does make a big difference.
Yeah.
But it's hard to say when you turn on ray tracing with a 4090, the game looks horrendous. For some reason.
Have they fixed that yet?
I've not tried it.
Because when we tested this, the ray tracing worked, didn't it? Was it shadows that broke it? You've got 3 of them. You've got reflection, shadows, and ambient lighting. One of them broke it.
I think it's the lighting that breaks, which makes everything like
orange. Yeah. Fortnite's not looking good, so I think we'll test Fortnite on the other PC.
Okay.
Okay, let's get rid of this. Right, it's gone. I love doing that because people are like, oh! I mean, some people are like, good riddance. It's actually obviously in this machine that we've got here, which is why I could throw the box on the floor. The 7600 is in this box though, so we'd... No, it's not really. Oh, it's got him again. Let's shift and start talking about AMD anyway, because I think we've spoken enough about NVIDIA anyway for now.
We've got a £5 super chat from Wings of Speed.
We need a noise, don't we, for this? Hold on, I'll do it. Incoming super chat from
Wings of Speed.
Wings of Speed. That's good name.
The 4090 when launched on PC Part Picker was £1,945. Cheapest on there right now is £1,500.
Say that again.
It basically
the prices.
Launched at £2,000.
The 4090.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now it's 1,500.
Depends on the SKU though, doesn't it? I mean, we can get this up.
He said the cheapest was 1945. Now the cheapest is 1498.
We said we were going to not talk about NVIDIA anymore, but okay, this last one.
Do you think any of the other cards in the stack will come down?
I mean, they can't come down obviously as dramatically as the 4090 because the 4090 had so much, so much price to begin with. And you've also got to remember that a product in general, right? A product is always worth what someone is willing to pay for it. So we can all have our opinion. And what we're going to do this in the stream, we're going to go through every single released and unreleased GPU, and we're going to give pricing, what we think is going to be, what it should be. That is purely opinion. You could say that the 7600 was worth £100 and £100 only. But if we have another pandemic, this is the only card you can get hold of. They will be selling this for 600. Is it worth £600? You would say no. If people are buying it for 600, then technically, yes, this is worth £600. It's always worth bearing that in mind. And this is how the business brain of all of these companies operates. They want to maximize the price. Obviously they do. I mean, if you open a lemonade stand, then you're going to sell the lemonade for the highest possible price you can. You don't want people to be walking past it, but you're probably happy for a few people to, you know, walk past and say that's a bit too expensive. But there is a price somewhere between low and high that hits that sweet spot between that is a good enough price for me to buy, but it's also a good enough price for the company to make enough money. So they're not going to release something really cheap when they don't need to. But I think they are starting to realize that the margins need to get lower. Carl.
We have another super chat.
Yes.
From Foofy Cake.
Foofy Cake.
Foofy Cake. 125 Mexican dollars? MX dollars? I'm assuming, yeah.
Yeah.
Building
awesome.
my first PC. Got a 4090 since I do a lot of work with video rendering and gaming. Is it best to get a Ryzen 9, I'm assuming 7950X3D?
Yeah.
They've written 9950X3D.
Yeah.
Or the 7800X3D.
Ah.
This CPU is my final infinity stone for the PC.
Does he say what sort of motherboard he's got now? Like, is he doing a full system upgrade?
No.
Well, hasn't said.
No, just that they've got a 4090. They do a lot of video rendering and gaming. 7800X3D or 7950X3D. I would.
I'll discuss both in just a second.
It depends on your priority.
Just before I forget, yeah, sure enough, here's the pricing of the 4090. I think the RRP was meant to be around about 1700 though, wasn't it? So I don't think it's necessarily drop loads. I think they were just selling it for way more than it needed to be. If you want to buy the absolute best of the best, you're looking at a white Strix card, 2159 for a 4090. Would you pay £100 more for a white card? I mean, surely you'd much rather have the water-cooled card for 1900. Anyway, that's beside the point. This is a good question about the... oh, that's not right. That's weird. Carl's like, what's going on? He hasn't seen it yet. He's on a delay. That's literally too much PC Centric for one day. Let's do that for a little gag. X3D. I love the X3D. I've personally bought one. It's down there. It's down there. It's in my gaming rig as well, but when AMD asks for their sample back, I obviously do swap them over, but there's no point swapping them over until then. Anyway, point being, I love the X3D chips. However, if you use the more expensive ones, then you have something that's called provisioning, which is, it's a little bit annoying because it doesn't always work properly. Essentially, if you buy the X3D with 8 cores, all of those 8 cores have the 3D V-cache. Great. You just use the chip. If you go for the 12 core or the 16 core, then you have something called core provisioning, which is where half of the cores essentially get parked, not used, because they don't have the accelerated V-cache. And when a game can take advantage of this properly and everything works swimmingly, you essentially drop down to like a 6 or 8 core CPU for gaming, and then you go back up to the full amount of cores when you're not gaming. But the provisioning doesn't always work quite as it should, and in some games it's going to be a little bit weird, and potentially in some apps it might be a little bit weird as well. So I was thinking about this question only yesterday, and I would probably go for either the 950X or I would go for the 800. So I wouldn't go for the 12-core variant. I think that's a little bit weird with the core provisioning there. We've only got 6 of those cores, I think, that get accelerated. But if you're buying like a whole new motherboard, you could always consider Intel as well. Or personally, I would actually probably just go for the non-3D version of either the 12-core or the 16. Yes, that's what I'd probably recommend. So X3D 8-core if you're just doing the gaming. If you're doing productivity and things and you're not specifically, like if you're like a game streamer, or maybe you are capturing for gaming and then you're editing, that's when I think the 3D chips make sense at the higher end. But if they're more expensive, the difference isn't huge. So just go for the like normal non-3D version. Yeah, anyway, we'll move on now because I'm aware we're here to talk about graphics cards. Hope that answered your question though. And it's time to move on and talk about AMD, Advanced Micro Devices. Here is the 7600 and we have pricing. And sure enough, pricing is as it should be, 259, which in the UK, I stand by it, I think pretty good. I don't think it's the best pricing in the world. I don't think it's exciting. This is the key word I want to say, and why when we looked at some of the reviews, we're a bit like, I don't know, they've been a bit harsh. it's just not an exciting graphics card because it's kind of releasing at the same price as the same performance you can get already. So you get slightly newer chip and you get slightly better power efficiency.
And
that's about it.
Get a bit better over time.
Yeah, that's the other thing as well. The driver updates, I think you've probably got more potential in the 7600 as well. Could have slightly better ray tracing, but because you've got the same level of VRAM, it's not like a huge step forward. But here's why in the UK at least, United Kingdom, good old Blighty, represent, it's not necessarily a bad deal because here is the 7600 for 260. The 6600, which is of course what it's replacing, cheapest one at the moment is 240. I've noticed these have gone up in the last couple of weeks. They were actually around about 209, 220. Performance is quite a lot better, isn't it, Carl, than the 6600?
Yeah, a lot better than the 6600, yeah.
You're basically looking at 6650 levels of performance and, yeah, same price. Basically, you can save a tenner and buy the 6650 XT and get the same sort of performance. But not potentially a ray tracing, plus minus obviously always a few frames per second. But just like we saw with the 3060 Ti, all of these cards that are worse, or at least the same, more expensive. Makes no sense. This is why the drop in RRP of this is great. This is really good. The RRP compared to the old RRP is really good. Where it gets confusing is that you can buy the last gen cards for the same price at the same performance, so it's kind of like, but it will get there. Give it some time to mature and it will get there. But if you do want to step up, I've seen people saying, well, clearly you just get the 6700 XT. It's the same price, I hear you cry. It's not really. I mean, if you look brand new, you're looking at 360 quid here on scan. And if you want to go on eBay, then £280 used 6700 XT. Not bad. You never know what it's been used for, but yeah, that's not too bad. That is something I would strongly consider, is seeing if you can get a deal on a used 6700 XT, because that card will last longer and it does have a bit more performance. What would you go for, Carl?
There's also the 6700 non-XT with 10 gig of VRAM, which is somewhere in the middle. Around about 290, 280 pounds.
So what you're saying is people should be a savvy shopper.
Yes.
Oh, you know what I've got to do now? The stupid, like, I don't know. I've always got to be careful with my words, right? I can't just come out and be like, oh, this stupid case, blah, 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 blah. It obviously affects the brand and all of this stuff, of course, there. Not in a sponsored way. I don't want to say this case is awful, because it's definitely not awful. But the thing that drives me up the wall with this style of case is that in order to take any cables out, you've literally got to turn it on its side and unplug everything. And it's just like, oh. And the reason that I say, oh, I've got to be careful with what I say, is because is it realistic to sort of be fiddling about with USB ports, you know, like all the time in a day? No. But still, it's a right pain in the bum. 2000D is okay. It's not going to be my ITX case of the year. I would buy Meshlicious instead, unless you actively need a huge graphics card. I mean, look at this. It's just annoying. I hate ITX. I don't hate ITX, but it's annoying. And what the hell is this little cable all about at the back as well? Surely they could design something better than that, have something that tucks through. It's annoying.
Surely that could have just plugged into the...
It's like it's got a tail.
Yeah.
I don't want a case with a tail.
There could have just been like a female end at the top, surely.
Just... Well, they wanted it so all the cables are in the same place.
No, I guess.
Oh dear. Oh dearie dear. Remember what I said at the start of the video? I was like, everyone's so negative these days. Proceeds to immediately be negative for the whole video. Hello to everyone in the chat anyway. How are we doing? Carl, give me some comments. Let me know how we're getting on.
We've got... Don't worry, Fortnite is coming. We've had a few people moaning about Fortnite. It's coming, it's coming. We're going to have to do the 7600 Fortnite.
It wouldn't load. I tried. You saw the evidence. I tried. But I think part of the reason is because we've only got one Ethernet cable and it's plugged into the streamer, obviously. But then Apex worked.
Yeah.
So actually, maybe it's not that. Forget it.
It didn't come up saying not enough VRAM.
No. No, there was an error. We opened it up on both cards and it said, sorry, you have not enough VRAM. Please exit and try again. No, please take graphics card out, throw it in bin and try again. It doesn't say that.
No. There's a lot of people saying in the comments earlier, they've stopped about it now, saying that the PS5 and Xbox have 16 gigabytes of VRAM, which they kind of don't.
They don't, no. It's different sorts of memory. In some ways it's an advantage, in some ways obviously it's a disadvantage, isn't it?
Yeah, because obviously it's 16 gig of RAM for the CPU, which is shared with the GPU.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of a clever way of doing it. I mean, like one of the reasons I mean, you're impressed with my Mac. People said in the last stream I did, it's like, he's got a Mac. Why has he done that? Well, it's because the MacBook Air is pretty much the best laptop in that class for what you want to use it for. You're impressed by that,
Yeah,
and
this
reason it's
Alienware is starting to cook my legs.
Yeah, I mean, very different beasts.
It's not even plugged in.
Very different beast, to be fair. But yeah, the MacBooks that have their own custom M1 or M2, M1 Max, all of these chips, they have the same sort of thing, which is like shared unified memory, which there's nothing coming up on screen.
Have you got both? You've not got no display port.
Look, I don't want these clever ideas clustering up my stream, Carl. Get away. But yes, I haven't plugged it in. But yes, that's the point anyway. Memory systems are slightly different, aren't they? So they don't really work that way. I mean, you could say, oh, PC, if you've got 8 gig of VRAM and 8 gig of RAM, you've still got 16 gig. Is that true? Yeah, but it's not quite the same.
No.
So, yes. Yeah, what else is going on, Carl? Keep me updated. Well, we're filling for time now.
Top comment, 4060 Ti trash, bro.
Yep.
Yep, we know that. That's fair.
But again, okay, but person that says it's trash, and again, I'm not disputing that. That's not why I'm here. I genuinely want to know the answer to this question. Everyone watching this, if you think the 4060 Ti is trash, which, in my opinion, pricing, as we've said, pricing is too high, VRAM is too low. If you had a lower price, because they can't just, if they lowered the price down like a little bit, it's not going to make any difference. But yeah, my opinion is that because it's not got enough VRAM for longevity single player wise, fine for multiplayer, but then the price is also too high for that. But if you think it is the worst thing ever, absolute trash, give us like a semi-detailed message on why. Because I think that's one of the reasons we wanted to do the stream, was both with the 7600 and the 4060 Ti, there's obviously a lot of blowback. And I'm interested to know what the consensus is, but why, essentially. Not in any way disagreeing with it. Just, we want to know why, really, what the main takeaway is. But then I suppose also, if you're interested in buying them, also let us know. We're trying to gauge whether the level of hate towards the 4060 Ti is purely from a product point of view, whether it's an NVIDIA thing, whether it's both. We're interested. We're interested. Right, I'm going to open up Fortnite. We're doing it. Look, Fortnite is opening.
I've got a
We're
comment
there.
from Ben. Is 12 gig of VRAM going to be trash soon?
Oh, good question. Wow, define soon.
How soon?
Every product you buy, every graphics card you buy is eventually going to run out of VRAM. I mean, if you're still using, you know, I remember I kind of had that issue when 4K was coming in. I moved to 1440p with a 2 gig card, and then eventually that, you know, got to the point where that was causing an issue. Oh, hello, bit coil wine there.
Oh, I can hear it. That is.
That's Radeon. That's AMD. Get rid of it. Ah. I mean, to be fair, AMD reference GPUs do tend to have a lot of coil wine. This is something I've noticed for years. I don't understand it, but we are just in a menu, so it doesn't really count. Oh, there you go. Look, listen to that bad boy. Yeah.
That's clear as day coming through.
Is it?
Yeah.
What were we talking about? I've lost it.
I've lost track. Oh, my favourite person here that comments on every video, Dimmy, has arrived. It's trash because even a jacket potato can run RuneScape 3.
Yes.
Better than these.
Yes. There you go.
Take
RuneScape.
my word,
That's the one.
of salt.
That's the one.
I logged into my RuneScape 3 account earlier. I didn't know it still.
What settings do people want, by the way?
There we go.
This is what I used when I did the video last time. We have everything basically set to like high. But some people said they want really competitive. We can change it throughout, to be fair.
change rendering mode to performance mode?
Well, anything can run Fortnite if you change it to performance mode, though.
Yeah, this is the 7600. That is correct.
Yeah, well, when AMD now, as I say, NVIDIA, forget about it. This is AMD. We've done the NVIDIA roast and then also saying, well, it could be fine in this particular very specific situation with a price drop. Now we're talking AMD. I also made a little list, Carl, didn't I, of topics, if you remember.
I do.
I tried to be organised and say, this is what we're going to talk about on the stream. What have I or have I not done?
Talk about graphics cards. Yes. The problems. Yes. Is it fair to compare MSRP to current pricing?
Ah, well, we have kind of discussed that.
Yeah, we've kind of discussed
we'll do a quick wrap up on that one. I mean, do you think it's fair to compare MSRP to current pricing? I think it is, as long as you give context.
Yeah.
You know, I think you need to mention both, because this card is a steal. Amazing price. Best price you could ask for ever. £270. That's epic when it comes to RRP. It's not epic when it comes to versus its current competition, which is itself. It's like cellular biology. When a cell eats itself, it explodes. My test audience of 1 didn't like that joke, so I'm going to say it didn't go down very well. Sorry, guys. I'll do better next time. I am also considering whether it would be funny to do a video like where it's like really serious with no jokes in it at all, but I don't actually know whether that would be funny or not. Right, here we go. This is Fortnite. This is running 1080p at, as I say, high. I'd say competitive high. It's not ultra. It's not like 100% competitive settings, but this is pretty realistic. And yeah, we're getting about 150 FPS. On a monitor like this, it's pretty much saturating it. I think this is 165. Yeah. So not quite there. But yeah, if you want to save money, the best way of saving money on a gaming PC is 100% to play at 1080p, which on a 24-inch monitor, I don't think is noticeable anyway. I mean, obviously it is, but after you've been playing a game for 5 minutes, do you actually start going, oh yeah, I need to look at the resolution? No. Single player, maybe. Oh, people also commented on the temperature of the GPU, and they said, why on earth is it getting so hot, 87 degrees? AMD GPUs have 2 temperatures. They have the general temperature, and then they have what's called, I think there's a junction temperature, which is the hotspot temperature, something similar like that. I believe anything under 110 degrees on that is considered fine/normal. So 87 on the junction temp is absolutely fine. Don't need to worry about that. But this is also a very small dual fan card. So, I mean, look at the size of it. It's diddy little card. So if you were to buy a bigger one than that, you'd get better thermals. But yeah, there you go. We've got a question.
Got a $5 super chat from... why do people always have hard names? TK72231968.
TK273198.
No.
I was close though.
Some of it.
Some of it. If you say your name is Carl and I say K, that's also some of it.
Some of it. They ask $400 to $500 should really get you more than 128-bit bus and 8 times PCI limited tech, even at 16 gig of RAM.
100%. And is it cost cutting from NVIDIA? Why are we talking about NVIDIA again? No. Is it cost cutting from NVIDIA? Is it?
Because everybody still buys NVIDIA. There's a reason they
own
so much of
I
the
think
market.
a lot of people are kind of glad in a way that NVIDIA are kind of shooting themselves in the foot, to be honest.
Yeah.
I don't think NVIDIA is the best loved company at the moment.
No.
I think that's a very fair point to make. Which is a shame, because the stupid thing is, I mean, I've got an NVIDIA GPU in my system. Carl, you have a...
But yes, what was an NVIDIA GPU?
NVIDIA GPU in your system, because they make very good products, and things like DLSS 3 are genuinely really good. I think it's unfair that people don't talk about it enough. I think as long as you're making it clear what DLSS 3 is and that you're using it and why you're using it, all good. What's that do? Is that shields? Oh no, that's like... I play this game all the time, as you can tell. Yeah, but this is my time to shine, by the way, I'd like to point out, because people
most of your gameplay
gets cut.
Gets cut.
Because as poor Carl has to edit, it's gameplay of me going, this graphics card, as you can see, we're getting about 170 FPS, which for this card is, this card is getting 170 FPS, and then I get shot or something, so it's not really particularly interesting most of the time, is it? Tactical pistol, is that? I mean, I think the guns are pretty balanced in this, actually, so they should be okay. Should we change the settings, or are people happy with this?
Some people have said go for more competitive with maybe high textures.
Okay, let me get some ammunition first.
Epic view distance, all the good stuff. And everything has to look basically trash.
Oh, okay. You're trash, kid. Okay, so we've got...
Lowest settings.
Shadow.
Like a low preset.
I don't want the shadows off. I'm not having them off.
Well, what if there's someone hiding in the shadows, and if you have
all right,
off,
fine. Well, no, let's do it. All right, let's do it. View distance, epic. Textures should be epic anyway.
You don't want blurry objects to shoot at.
No. To be fair, I would have changed that. I didn't actually notice that. Oh, that looks worse. That looks worse.
But what about the frame rate?
200 FPS.
20 FPS more.
Yeah. Oh, I haven't got my frame time graph or anything that I had on the other rig. We only just discovered we can do that, and we feel very, very stupid. But yeah, right. I want to get some frags though. But there you go. I should say the reason that we actually wanted to get some gameplay up and actually do a little bit of a test on this, by the way, is just to say once again, if you're seriously looking to buy a graphics card right now, there is so much noise out there about what's good, what's not. The single most important thing is always to make sure you know what monitor, what resolution, what refresh rate you're going to be playing at, and then buy the graphics card that can actually drive the games you want to play at those settings and at that resolution and refresh rate. Because, as we're proving here, 220 FPS in Fortnite. If you're playing at 1080p and you specifically play Fortnite, why would you spend £300-400 on a graphics card when you can buy this and it works? Is this necessarily the right card for you? You know, are there better alternatives? Maybe. Depends on the time of filming and what you prioritize. But I don't think anyone is watching this right now and saying, oh, the frame rate's too low. You know? But then likewise, if you want to play with ray tracing, you want to play Cyberpunk Max Details, you're going to need an NVIDIA card with DLSS 3, and you're going to have to spend a lot of money on it. That's just, you know, the truth. If you want to play Modern Warfare, AMD graphics cards are the best cards for Modern Warfare.
Yeah.
But it depends on the resolution and things that you're going to play at. So.
Yeah, I think like the 7600 even beats like the 4060 Ti in Modern Warfare, or matches it. Just that's how big the difference is between like AMD and NVIDIA in Modern Warfare, and that is the other thing. It's the games you play makes a massive difference depending on who you buy. Yeah,
exactly. It really shouldn't be.
It's not even an even playing field, regardless of if every game was optimized properly. It should be a really simple stack from top to bottom, but it isn't, and every game's different, and that's another big problem with the PC gaming. It's like,
and it changes with updates and things all the time as well. You know, as we sort of proved. There was the infamous Hogwarts Legacy update that fixed loads of things, but also I believe affected the performance like negatively and things. Sometimes you get bugs with certain drivers and certain graphics cards and things. It is a little bit of a minefield, but I'd like to think you're watching this, as I say, and think, oh, the frame rate on this is very good, because it clearly is. But this doesn't mean that this is the best graphics card ever. But if you want to play Fortnite 1080p, then this is overkill, really, isn't it? You just buy the 6600, see if you can get a deal on 6600, especially used. Imagine that, used 6600, let's say 150 quid or something like that.
Yeah.
What a steal that would be. You know, what a steal. Hold on. Hang on. Here we go. Bang. See, there you go. I have the skills, ladies and gentlemen. With no noise, I'd like to point out. No headphones, no nothing.
No volume, no nothing. Maybe that's something we can take out next time.
Well, I could put audio from video on this, to be fair.
Oh, what? So it would come through the stream?
Yeah, maybe. Do people want that? Or is that going to be annoying?
I don't know.
If we turn that right down, am I being shot at? No, all right. If I turn that right down, I could have that on. Can you hear that now? Oh, I could have just turned it down actually in the settings, couldn't I? That would have been easier.
I can't hear anything on the this.
Well, it's on now. Oh, that's mic. No, that should be okay. Is it coming through? It doesn't matter, does it?
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Oh, the gas is coming though. That does matter. So, yeah, there we go. Anyway, we don't really need it.
That was a sweaty kill.
What does that mean? What does that mean? I was try hard. Look, you don't normally get to see this level of talent. Oh, you should, Peter Centric, you should do gaming streams. Does one, moans. Honestly, there's no pleasing some people, is there? I don't really know.
I've got another poll running.
Okay, what's that poll?
Are the 7600 and 46 Ti bad products or badly priced?
Well, I think we've kind of already said that. Unfortunately for NVIDIA, kind of both, but not. It's not like.
I've got three options. It's not just yes and no.
Okay. Well,
option number 3.
Oh, am I answering your poll?
Yeah, you're answering my
I'm answering your poll. As I say, the problem with the NVIDIA one is that because of the price, you have this VRAM problem. If this was a cheaper graphics card, the VRAM wouldn't be a problem because you'd be like, oh, well, it's a cheaper graphics card. You don't need that much VRAM anyway. It'd be nice to have, but it's not a necessity. But if you're going to charge a price premium and you're then selling with 8 gig, that's no good. So, hey-ho.
That's what option 3 was.
What, both?
No. Well, the three options were yes, no, and 8 gig isn't enough at any price. That got 50% of the vote.
But that's, I'm sorry guys, that's not true. That is not true. And this is what I think is going round at the moment, which I don't agree with. 8 gig at any price is not acceptable. Not true. Not true whatsoever, because most games aren't affected by VRAM. And if you're buying a graphics card, say for £150, £200, 8 gigabytes is probably what would be about right, I would argue. Would you like to disagree with that, Carl? Feel free.
No,
it's a cheaper
really,
product. Yeah. It costs less to make.
There's obviously a lot of games which are coming out which are using more at 1080p, and you know, it's hard to say whether that's the game's fault, whether that's the way the game's designed, because other games come out and they don't have the issue. They can look just as good or better with less VRAM. So yeah, it's hard to. It's also annoying because obviously I have an 8 gig graphics card, and hundreds, millions of people probably do. So yeah, I don't think they can just ruin everybody's 8 gig graphics cards and that's it. You know, because there's thousands of them out there. Well,
just because there are a few games that have come out doesn't make 8 gig of VRAM, you know, bad. Again, it's all relative. It's about if you're trying to fill a card with ray tracing and high resolution, high textures, and all of these new effects, then yeah, it's not going to fit in there. But if you're looking to do gaming on a budget, I think 8 gigabyte probably is about right, really. I mean, I was quite impressed that the 3050 had 8 gig of VRAM. Other cards would have done less. I think well, we were talking about this earlier, actually, weren't we? Again, a lot of crap going round, again, rightfully so, about the 4060 Ti's pricing and things. But some people have said this is the worst graphics card ever released. Not true. I mean, the 6500
XT
last year. Now that was bad. Like
the price it launched at as well. I think it was like 220 or something.
And it didn't have an encoder, and the performance was so far off, wasn't it? The 6600. And now that was a bad product. And
it only worked in a PCI Gen 4 slot.
Yeah.
And was awful in anything older.
Which for the market, a lot of them had PCI Gen 3. That was a bad product, which is why we sort of never actually did a build with it, I don't think.
No, and it will never be seen again.
You know, that was not good. There you go. So look, I'm so good at this game. Like, I've got no noise, and I'm taking everyone out. So thank you very much for that.
Somebody else made quite a good point.
Yeah.
Where's he gone? Boat. Anything under 250 gig, anything under I've got
You're right there.
There's so many gigabytes in my brain. Anything under $250 pounds with 8 gig of VRAM is fine, as budget builds will be bottlenecked one way or another.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah, because if you can't run the game, I mean, the problem is textures. That's the issue. I would say is fair enough. Like if you have new games like Plague's Tale coming out that the maximum texture budget that would genuinely make the game look a lot better and not really be that extra demanding on the graphics card. If you can't use those textures, that's a shame, right? That's not going to make you feel very good. Not at all. Let's make that very clear. I've already got a shotgun. I don't need. Yeah, you know that's a shame. That's disappointing. What was I saying? I was thinking about med kits. I'm sorry. VRAM. VRAM?
VRAM, probably VRAM. Something to do
No,
with
what?
VRAM.
No, what was it? What was it? I'm sorry. I just thought med kits. Do I need a med kit? I'm so sorry.
What GPU would you recommend for competitive Fortnite? They have a 360 Hz monitor. So what are we getting right now at competitive?
Yeah,
settings?
don't forget as well. It will also come down to the CPU because we're using our fully. Am I all right? We're fully utilising our GPU at the moment, and this is running on a 13400F, isn't it?
Yes.
So if you were to upgrade the graphics card, you will also need to upgrade the CPU.
Yes.
Which would then make it even more expensive. I'm being shot at, I think.
Yeah, it's like you could have a i7 13700K in there, but then you're not going to pair it with a $250 card.
No.
That doesn't make sense. But you would get more FPS in Fortnite at 1080p by doing that.
Yeah. So it depends what you need. I mean, I think no one needs more FPS than this personally, unless you are like very, very serious. But by the time you've added up your 240 Hz monitor, your more expensive graphics card, your more expensive CPU, your more expensive power supply, suddenly you're talking very, very big money for something that isn't going to make masses of difference. I think this is the 1080p sweet spot really, because it's flexible enough. I've already been here. It's flexible enough for. It's flexible enough for sort of future-proofing, really, other than the 8 gig of VRAM in terms of power, but then it gives you everything that you need, and you've got a nice competitive advantage. But at this sort of price point, I don't think the VRAM's necessarily a huge issue. It would be nice to have 10, but again, purely putting business hat on here, if AMD and NVIDIA do want to sell graphics cards, if the cheapest, graphics card you could buy for 250 quid was perfect and no one needed to spend any more, then they wouldn't. So from their point of view, they've essentially got to sell the best sort of product they can at each spec whilst holding a little bit back. But I think everyone's just fed up with that now. And certainly NVIDIA have gone way too far with the way that they're going about that. It's pretty crap, really. I think that's the main thing with the NVIDIA cards, is that they're so clearly sort of artificially made, like each card for each specific price point. Whereas AMD almost seems that they've made some cards and then they've priced them up after, and I'm not really sure what's better. You'd think it's like a hybrid probably between the two. Oh, the shotgun's not good from that range, is it? Let's pepper him. Let's get him. Ooh. Oh, yeah. I mean, he was rubbish. He was rubbish. Let's make no mistake about that. He was garbage. You're a trash kid. And he had a legendary. Poor effort, honestly. He should be ashamed of himself, son. Can you hear the game? I did try and turn...
No, we still can't hear the game.
I don't really know why that is. Maybe... Oh, you know why it is, because the volume output's probably going to the other monitor, isn't it? The sound.
Oh, yeah.
That'll do it. All right. But, I don't know, does it actually matter? Like, let me know for the next testing whether you want me to do that or not. Right, we're towards the end of the game now. The next activity, though, that I wanted... that sounds so lame. Next activity, everybody. Next activity I wanted to do was to go through all of the new cards and essentially say what price they should be. And I want your input on this. Let me know as we go through each one. Let's start at the bottom of the stack, the 7500 XT. That'll be a thing, probably, right? This includes imaginary made-up products, by the way. Yeah, let's say that 7500 XT slash 4050. Okay, 4050. What's the max that card should cost? I think they're going to price it at £225, or could be 200, could be 250. But there needs to be. Bear in mind, 4060 is obviously set to be 300. They can't set it for anything less than 150, can they? for anything less than 250, can they?
No.
So, yeah, I think 4050, probably we need to have, what, how much percentage increase over for 3050? I don't, oh.
3050 is really quite bad though, I think.
Got
in
him.
comparison to like the 3060. There's a big difference.
There's a big difference. And then don't forget there was a very big difference between the 3060 and the 3060 Ti as well. So it's like their products get noticeably worse down the stack. You know, it's all relative, but we just need some cheaper cards. But I think as AMD do have some decent competition, NVIDIA do need to come up with something better. I think the 4050 will be cheaper than the 3050. It has to be, really. Yeah. That was always way too expensive. That was very clearly NVIDIA knew that they could get away with it because they released a card during the pandemic, didn't they?
Yeah, I think, yeah, we've got a few people who come in with pricing. Some people said 200 for the 4050, and you know, maybe up to 180 to 230 for the 7500 XT. I think the 7500 XT should be less than 200. I think.
Oh, got him 120, but not enough.
What else we got? 7700 XT. What about that? That'd be an
now you're right. Now this is something I wanted to work. The 7700 XT is oh no, I've ruined it. No, it's all good. The 7700 XT is bum. Oh, that's not going to do it. That's not going to do it. Oh, just about. Put the gun away. How do you do that? That one, isn't it? Is this actually any quicker? Yes, maybe. I don't know the rules. I don't know. I'm sorry. I don't play this enough. Get in there. Oh, he's going to blow it. No. Come on. No, please. Just sprint. It's limited sprint, isn't it? Come on. He did it. He only did it. Unbelievable. This was meant to be benchmarking. We got to clip that. How do we clip? We need to do it. What a stream. 1 out of 1.
With no audio.
With no audio, man. I told you. To all the haters in the comments that think we can't play, we can play. I was not concentrating at all, so you can shove it, the lot of you.
Look at all that XP.
Oh, that's good. Woo! I'm happy with that, and I'm a happy boy. Are you impressed?
I'm surprised.
That's not what you normally see.
No, usually you just like, you have placed 73rd.
All right, whatever. I thought, I didn't realise though, that was so close. I assume it is limited sprint, it must be.
Yeah.
Right, let's move on to Cyberpunk
people
now.
Are saying that's a W for the 7600.
7600, there you go. That is the card of the generation.
If you want,
sorted.
You need to want Victory Royale.
If you want Victory Royale, you need. That's it. Tried and tested, baby. Oh, that's old water. That's from last week.
Fresh water.
That is sus. Oh, I say that was from last week. That might be older than that. This is water.
You could taste the dust in it.
You can taste the dust.
No calories in dust, though. Have as much dust as you like.
Is that? Oh, I see. I'm with you there. Right, as we were saying before I got particularly excited, but for very valid reason, 7700 XT. This, if you're watching this AMD, Lisa Sue, I know you're in the stream being like, yeah, W Fortnite on a 7600. That's what we're talking about. Lisa, the 7700 is your card to destroy everything. There is only one card that I think everyone could want, that could offer the perfect sort of price to performance, could offer all the performance anyone needs, could come with new features. It could and should be the card. NVIDIA, if you could produce enough of them and sell them, which, let's be honest, you normally don't. I don't know why, just produce more cards. Anyway, probably not that easy. 7700, this could be the tide-turning GPU, right? We've said we're not going to talk about NVIDIA anymore. They kind of blown this one a little bit, really, because, I mean, what can they do? They can't get rid of the 8 gig version. They literally exist. They can't price it too low, because then they destroy their 4060. So they're a little bit stuck. So NVIDIA are in a bit of trouble. You have the 7700 XT. This, as long as the performance is decent enough, it doesn't even have to be amazing, because the 6700 XT performance is pretty good. As long as it's, you know, a better performance jump than the NVIDIA counterpart, it's priced lower, or at least the same. If you have more VRAM, let's say 16. Let's hope for 16. Do you think 16, or is it going to be 12 again? But either's, to an extent, either's fine. You know, yeah, people would prefer 16. So let's just say you've got 16 gig of VRAM, the same price, $399. You've got more performance than the 4060 Ti. It's a slam dunk. You've done it. You've got the best product. Everyone will go out and buy that. That is going to be the one. If you dare price it at $450, if you price that card at $450, you don't have the performance jump. It's basically the same as the 6700 XT, but higher price because of used prices. You'll blow it. You will blow it. Get the pricing right. Lisa, get the pricing right. That's what I want to say.
Poll is ready to go. What price would you pay for a 16 gigabyte 7700 XT?
And do vote in this even if you're not going to buy one. But let us know in the comments as well. Am I right in thinking this, by the way? Let us know in the comments. If you're, and be honest, I know you're going to get people like, no, I'm an AMD fanboy, but I'm going to pretend I'm not. If you're an NVIDIA fanboy, or at least you've always bought NVIDIA, your last card was NVIDIA, what would the 7700 XT have to do to convince you? Maybe they do a 7700 with 12 and a 7700 XT with 16.
Yeah.
Fair thing to do.
That would be good. Yeah, you could stick the 7700 around the 330 mark.
I mean, to be fair, yeah, this is the thing, isn't it? If you've got the 7600...
Oh, we've still got a 7600 XT to come.
A what, sorry?
7600 XT.
Oh, yeah, maybe. That's true. Don't, just do a 7700 and... I don't know. Anyway, you've got the gap there. You've got the gap there, so, you know, I don't think you need to... You don't need to do anything crazy. You just... It's yours to lose. Have good pricing. But the good news, really, is that if as the pricing on this is relatively low, you're not going to have the same problem as NVIDIA. They've done a blinder, AMD, so far. They went, right, let's NVIDIA make a mess. We know they will. Oh, sorry, burped on stream, horrible. We know we've made a mess. Sorry, we know NVIDIA have made a mess. Let's let them do that, and then we'll literally clear up afterwards. But instead of clearing up NVIDIA's mess, they will clear up and kick NVIDIA while they're down, and then almost certainly won't be able to produce enough GPUs, and everyone's still annoyed.
What are we in now? Cyberpunk 1080p.
Cyberpunk.
No ray tracing.
No, this is ray tracing ultra. No, it's not. Can you imagine? Got him. What do we have? No, that's not. No, that's bugged. That's not right. It does say ray tracing ultra. There's no way. No, I don't buy it. Let's turn ray tracing off. That would be quite impressive, I'll be honest. What we got on?
I'm pretty sure it's around about 100 FPS, no ray tracing.
There you go. FSR was on as well. So let's turn that off.
What's FSR set to? Off.
Off now.
Just off.
Is it really? We didn't test this in the video. There you go, ray tracing ultra. Yeah, that does actually line up with the figures I saw. That's not bad, is it? No FSR, 75 FPS, ray tracing. It is 1080p.
Ray tracing on? Yeah.
But there you go. I mean, you can see on the stream. Does it look good on the stream, by the way, Carl? Like 60 FPS? You can see it's...
Yeah, it looks like pretty smooth, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, he's going for me! Jeez! What's he doing? So, okay, 83 FPS.
Is ray tracing definitely on?
Or have I just turned it on?
I think it's off.
Oh, maybe I turned it off. Okay, yeah, I was going to say. that would have been pretty epic, wouldn't it? Okay, right, let's turn it on now. But it did say it was on before, judging by the lack of... Oh, there we go.
There it goes.
There we go. That's just Cyberpunk being buggy. Now that makes more sense. I was very surprised. This is more like it. Yes, this. This is ray tracing. This is what it does. I wonder why it was so bugged then. That was weird. So photo mode only, guys.
Ooh,
that's rough, isn't it?
That's rough. That looks awful on stream.
It looks awful on my screen as well. So don't you worry about that. Let's see if we can fix this. The way I played the game was just with the shadows, which I know doesn't get all the headlines because it's harder to actually take screenshots and show off. But actually, ray trace shadows, I thought in this game was the one that made the biggest difference. And you can play that at 60 FPS. I do feel a bit stupid now for being like 80 FPS ray tracing. So there you go. You know, it is playable. It is playable, 60 FPS-ish. Whoa! Yeah, not too bad. But yeah, that's what this card will sort of run into limitations with. And this is why, if you want to spend more money, you're going to get better single-player action. But if you don't play single-player or don't care about ray tracing, or at least you mainly play multiplayer, why pay for it? What graphics card would you buy? I mean, I'll ruin the surprise. If it was me right now, at this current time, I'd probably wait and see what AMD was going to do with 7700 XT. But if I was to buy a card today, it would be the 7900 XT, not the XTX. For 750 quid. I said this on stream last time. I think that's the way to go.
Yeah, that's like
for me and what I use.
Top end, but not ridiculously priced card.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. Probably that as well. Yeah. You got your 20 gig of VRAM. You're comfortable there. You're chilling. You don't have 70 Ti with 12 gig. You've got 20.
Yeah, it's got you covered, really, doesn't it? I feel like I've just enabled XeSS and the frame rate's gone down, so I don't really know what it's all about. I thought it was going to work. XeSS is good. Neither is good as DLSS, and this is why I think it's like people almost get annoyed, because people love to hate NVIDIA, but DLSS is great. And I hear all the time it's cheating. Don't test with DLSS. Why using DLSS? It's rubbish. It's not. I'm sorry, but it's not. You use the quality preset, you can't notice the difference between native and not. And it means you don't have to use any anti-aliasing. It gives you so much more of a frame rate boost. The only game I don't use DLSS because it does look a bit naff is Formula 1. I haven't noticed any other game to cause a big problem. DLSS 3 is a different story. Oh, super sampling. That's why. That is it. Yeah.
Oh, we had a super chat come in 10 minutes ago. I've just seen it.
That is rude.
I'm sorry.
Wait, hold on. Ba-da-ba-bum-bum-bum-ba-dum. Super chat from
Ginge. G-I-N-G 3.
Solid name.
£5. Thanks a lot. I'm upgrading from a 1654 gig to an 11 gig 2080 Ti.
To what? 1660?
1650.
1650, yeah.
To a 2080 Ti. Is that a good upgrade? I have a Ryzen 5 5600X. I've been watching you for years, and you have helped a lot.
Depends, because the problem with the 20 series was everything was new. So DLSS, good. You know, you could take advantage of that, good. But the ray tracing cores on that are not really up to snuff to cope with the latest games, really. So it's not pointless, but it was more an introduction to ray tracing. You know, like if you've been to, I don't know, like even like any sort of like school course or like university course, you know, when they get there and they start walking you through the real basic stuff, like introduction to coding, and you're like, okay. And then it gets far more interesting like a year later when you're going in depth and everything. That's kind of what this is like. It will give you a taste of it in certain games, but like the latest releases, the ray tracing cores aren't really like great for that. So as long as you're aware of that, then that's fine. That card disappeared. But as long, yeah, just make sure you obviously look at benchmarks for that card versus other cards you could buy for the same money. And if you've got a great deal on it and you are going to get the performance that you want, fantastic. It will use a fair bit of power, but nothing too bad, to be fair.
Yeah.
Anyway, I think we've driven around enough in Cyberpunk. Is that enough for everybody?
Yeah, everyone's had enough Cyberpunk now.
Are you saying that, or are they saying that?
Oh, I'm saying it, yeah.
Okay. Everyone's had enough.
I've had enough of it. It's all very dark.
I've had enough of these snakes on a plane.
somebody made a decent point a minute ago. Where's it gone?
We'll do Apex now. Yeah.
Um,
And if we want to go back to the NVIDIA 4060 Ti, we can, by the way. This is attempting to be a non-biased stream. There we go.
yeah, I think... why is it gone? So scroll away.
Oh, got coil wine again. AMD, king of the Fortnite, but king of the coil wine as well.
Yeah.
Not the title you want, is it? King of the coil wine. Do I need to do a little dance?
Yeah,
You're struggling here.
I've lost it.
What the what was? Oh, we did the super chat.
We did the super chat. Yeah, it was the 2080 Ti one. But yeah.
Do you want to go back to our magical list then?
Let's go back to our magical list.
And see what we need to discuss while we're doing this.
I think we've cut. Is 10 or 12 gig VRAM enough?
Yeah, well, this is the other thing as well. 8 gig of VRAM is getting so much hate at the moment, but is 10 even that much better?
No, because I think some people are saying, oh, of course, The Last of Us Part 1 uses 10
I don't think Last of Us is a valid...
9, nearly 10.
Well, Hogwarts is more valid because that wasn't a completely broken game.
Yes.
Like, Last of Us was so broken,
yeah.
and like, I refuse to benchmark it on the channel because it takes half an hour to cache the shaders before you can even play the game.
Yeah.
Doesn't fit into my workflow one bit. Like, if people really wanted me to do a test on it, that's fine. But it's an unoptimized mess, and I don't want to advertise it on this channel, basically. I think PC ports like that can GTFO.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I agree with that. So I think 10 to... It depends on the price.
Might check out Plague's Tale though.
I think a 12 gig 4060 Ti would have been ideal, and they could have kept it at the sort of...
But then they couldn't have done their memory bus cutting.
Oh, yeah.
That was the reason when I spoke to NVIDIA about it. They said they couldn't have a 10 or a 12 because of the bus size.
Why don't they just use a bigger bus?
Money, I imagine. To NVIDIA's credit, because if anyone from NVIDIA is watching this stream, I'm sure they're like, yeah, but the cache is bigger. And yes, you do have much more L2 cache on this card, which is why it can be better than the 3060 Ti. One of the reasons it can be better than the 3060 Ti. But there are some games, especially at high resolutions, when it's like you do notice the lack of bus. Lack of bus.
Need a bigger bus.
Need a bigger bus.
Big double decker.
We're going to need a bigger bus. Right, here we go. So this is Apex Legends. Let me know the settings you want, please. We're allowing for 8 gig of VRAM. This doesn't mean we're going to use it. This is a good setting. It's saying, it's telling the game how much VRAM you have, and it sort of allocates accordingly. And if you go over it, it tells you. So we set this to... Oh, I'm Jump Master, so let's not screw this one up. No noise, remember. Imagine if I got another W, that would be amazing. But I think it's harder in this game, I'll be honest. Yeah, let me know what settings we want. But again, this is another clear example. If you want to play multiplayer 1080p, then this is pretty much the card to have, really. Because the price performance is great. It's just, it is pretty much, it is nothing new. This was the complaint, really, with this card. It's nothing new, and it doesn't have more VRAM, so what's exciting about it? Carl, you've got your hand up.
Super chat incoming.
Hold on, I can't really do it. I'll try anyway. Bum, 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 bum. Super chat from
Luis Cruz.
Luis.
Does Windows 11 use more VRAM than Windows 10? Does it affect the
No,
CPU
the game will assign it, so it shouldn't really make any difference at all. And if it does, it would be negligible. In fact, Windows 11 should be better for gaming because they've got more optimizations in their gaming mode and things.
I recently updated my PC to Windows 11.
Oh.
Big commitment.
I haven't got around to doing it, but I can now.
Not my work.
Do you remember the really boring reason why I hadn't updated my PC to Windows 11? Like my main one. It was for your blooming pay slips.
Oh yeah, that was it. Yeah.
It was all through HMRC's own software, and I didn't want to risk mucking that up, so I kept it at Windows 10. But I've swapped over to different software now, so don't worry, Carl.
Cloud-based now.
Have you noticed? You get your email today. Your pay has been has been scheduled on the usual day, so you're all good.
You'll be on a plane when that's meant to come through.
Yeah, I know. I was hoping that you wouldn't miss it because you're away, but I didn't want to take that risk. Hey, here he is. Oh no, hold on, that's bad. That's bad. There's 2 of them. It's all over. It's all over. I know there's a super chat, Carl. I know. There you go. There's Apex Legends. Anyway.
From Drop Sauce or Drip Sauce.
Drip Sauce.
It's got an X where there should be a vowel, so Drip Sauce. Can either GPU handle Borderlands 3 on epic or high settings without stuttering or crashing?
One more time. I'm really sorry. I don't mean I'm never ignoring you. It's just it's really hard to concentrate on 2 things at once. Right.
Can these cards handle Borderlands 3 on epic or high settings?
I haven't tested it, so I can't say for sure. But Borderlands 3 is probably going to be slightly more intensive than Apex, something like that. There you go. Look, we'll turn the settings down. 300 FPS, baby. 300. 300. You told me this stream wasn't going to be useful. You didn't.
Borderlands 3. That's old, isn't it? That's like 3 years old.
Shoot him. There we go. He's doing it. But you get the point. Yeah, Borderlands 3 was never the most difficult game to drive, but the higher settings can be more intense. But do you see what I mean though? Why do you need more performance than this? If you play multiplayer titles, you can literally get 240 Hz monitor, which you're probably not going to do anyway, and you'd be able to play this. So happy days. Yeah. Right, what should we do now? Let me know in the comments. We've got time for one more game. Which PC do you want us to test? Do you want us to do 7600 or 4060 Ti? So yeah, for multiplayer, I'd say this is a great card for 1080p multiplayer, even some 1440p. 4060 Ti is going to be ideal for 1440p multiplayer people, but obviously you're VRAM limited in single player, so maybe wait and see if there's a price drop. Would you? How much would you spend on a 4060 Ti? I still say if it was 325, I could recommend it to people that were going to play multiplayer titles. I would happily go on the record and say 325, 8 gig of VRAM is fine because the performance in multiplayer titles is still very good.
Yeah, that's obviously including VAT, which is obviously a big difference.
Yeah, in the UK, yeah.
So that would be like 300 plus tax.
I mean, don't forget as well, the best thing about the 4060 Ti was that it's the same price as the 3060 Ti. And this is why the whole confusion came about in my video, really, was because it's like, well, 3060 Ti was the best card of the previous generation in my eyes, and we've got a better one for the same price. But I didn't do the extensive testing to know about the bus issues and how it affects resolution and frame rate and things. So yeah, hindsight, wonderful thing. But there we go. We live and learn. What do people want? Do we want to go back to the 4060 Ti?
No, I think people are happy with the.
Okay.
People are happy with the 7600. Have you got any more games left to test?
Dead Space, remake, Call of Duty, Modern Warfare 2.
Yeah, try Modern Warfare 2.
Hogwarts Legacy, those 3.
Ooh,
Let me know, guys. Let me know. And anything else on our magical list you want us to cover?
What's left on the list? What games do people want to see us testing in the future?
Make it more exciting. Come on, you're selling it.
What games do people want to see us testing in the future?
There we go. That's the one. That's what we wanted. That's what we wanted. Can we do a comparison, by the way, between the... I don't know what I'm asking. I'm going to do it. Between the 7600, here it is, 7600, and what's this? The 7900 XTX.
It doesn't even fit.
It's, yeah.
3 8-pins.
Not. Yeah.
Call of Duty is
clear
the
winner.
Unanimous winner.
Unanimous. The unanimous winner.
Oh yeah, and Drip Sauce is back, or Drop Sauce.
Yeah. What's the difference in... See, the 4070 is not that much smaller.
No. Well, they forgot to ask, what SFF case was that on the other PC?
The Corsair 2000D. It's gone a bit under the radar. It's a case that almost was great, but let itself down with difficulty of building and the fact that the IO's underneath is a bit annoying.
Yeah.
But you can get over it. You know, if you want... If you have a massive GPU and you want to put a massive GPU in that sort of case, do recommend. Decent. Check it out. An air cooler in there. Good. You want to fit radiator? No. Unless they bring out something specific for it.
Save yourself the hassle.
It's just, again, it's so difficult when I'm reviewing these things. And realistically, I'm never, you can't. I think the only component that you can properly review in a build guide is the case, because that literally is what you need to do. You need to build a PC to review it. Yeah. That is the whole process from start to finish. Whereas with a graphics card, the reason you can't give it a definitive review is because you need to compare it against other things and you need to look at data. Whereas a case is quite easy to, when I build them literally every week, is very easy to go, well, relative to all the other cases I've used, actually, I like it or I don't. Like this case is just a bit odd because it's pretty cheap and nasty. Oh, okay, nasty's strong. It's cheap, right? It's very cheap. But then you've got 4 RGB fans, so you won't really find another case that has 4 RGB fans for this sort of money, or at least it will be similar. But then they're not proper fans that can plug in and be controlled by the motherboard, which is a pain in the bum. And I say every video at the moment, MSI. Buy an MSI case if you're looking at like real budget, like 40, 50 quid. MSI, just there you go, done. They win. They nailed it.
Is it the MAG Forge? Is that it?
Mag Forge 100R.
That's the one.
Good one.
You like that one?
It's just all the MSI cases I've used. And it's really weird because MSI are very new to cases. And when they launched their first couple of cases, they were pretty rubbish as well. They had no airflow. It was hilarious. Yet out of nowhere, suddenly MSI have got cases that have a load of fans on them that are actually not bad with RGB for about 50 quid. And the build quality and everything is decent. How have they done it? Do you think part of that is loss leader because they want people to buy MSI motherboards and things? Could be.
Maybe.
They're not making much money on them, maybe. Yeah. It's not their whole business, is it?
Integrate it a bit more.
Yeah, it's interesting. Right, Warzone is on the way. Here it is.
PC Centric, what gaming headset do you recommend for the $100 to $150 range?
$100, $150. Ooh. Why does Warzone do this? They get rid of solos. Just keep a stupid constant playlist. It's a joke. Absolute joke. Like, honestly, why do they do it? Am I the only one that likes solos?
Yeah, I don't play with other people either.
It's just annoying. Right, what's the question again?
Gaming headset, $100 to $150.
I quite like it's slightly cheaper than that. I quite like the Corsair HS80, is it?
Yeah.
That's wireless one. Yeah, that's quite good. That's what I use if you want to know what to use day to day.
Yeah.
Look at the VRAM, by the way, your screen. We'll keep textures high, everything else competitive. There we go. These are the settings. Apply. Anything else we need to do, I wonder?
I can't really. I'm behind. I just set everything to high. Textures high.
I feel like it's going to struggle a bit with Warzone, I'll be honest. Warzone is kind of... Nah, but why?
Nah, be fine.
Have we got DLS, not DLSS, the other one?
FSR 2.1. Why does it even have 1 as the option?
I know, honestly, it drives me up the wall.
And it's like top of the list.
FSR quality. I think when we tested this, we ran into CPU bottlenecking, didn't we? Or did we not? Maybe it was just buggy and weird, I don't know.
Yeah, I think we did have a bit of CPU issue.
Yeah, don't know. The card's nice and quiet though, but we don't have the side panel on, to be fair. Anything else on our agenda anyway?
I think that's everything else on the list. Other than, yeah, what games do people want to see tested in future build videos? Yeah,
in particularly like the VRAM crushing ones, because we want to make sure we've got one in there.
Yeah.
And I think we've done a bit too much Hogwarts, really. It's time to...
Yeah, we don't want to see Hogwarts every day.
No.
We want to see, I don't know, Plague Tale, Jedi, Survive.
I'll check if I have Plague's Tale.
Yeah.
But then the problem with that is I don't think it's a game people play.
No.
This is the thing. This is the problem, isn't it? We test the games people play, and then it's like, oh, well, you haven't tested this game that doesn't do so well.
Yeah.
There you go. Look, we're bottlenecked, actually.
it's like Hogwarts came out, and that was a big title that a lot of people played, so it was worth, you know, showing. Whereas not really, I don't know anybody other than, you know, hardware reviewers that have actually played a Plague Tale Requiem. And
I think it's a cool game, but
it looks cool.
You know, again, regardless of whether you think that's right or not, you might love the game. It's not a massive. It's not a must play. You know, that's opinion, but generally speaking, I wouldn't say people are like must have this. Same with like the Witcher 3 remaster. We covered that a bit at launch, and then it's kind of a bit of a damp squid. No, I've said it. I've gone wrong. I've done an IT crowd. Sorry, damp squib.
Damp squid.
Damp squid. It's because we joke about that all the time. That's funny. I've been caught in action. Damp squid.
Yeah, it was buggy at launch, and then it started to put you off, and then you're like, oh, does it work yet? Not sure.
Not really. I think that Warzone, Warzone doesn't run very well. I have a feeling this might be, I don't know. I don't know whether it's fair to blame it on the CPU or not, but we were getting some stutter. Maybe that's gone away now. What's that? About 110, 112 FPS. But we're CPU limited, so it's kind of a bit of an unfair. What's up?
Can't see the game.
Oh, it's me. That's funny. Sorry about that, guys. There we go. That's funny. There we go. Right, you can see. Yeah, are we getting stutter still? I think we are, but it's CPU. It's like lag from the graphics card when the graphics card basically has to wait for the CPU, and there's like a small delay. Again, this is running 13400F. So if you want Warzone, you're going to have to step up to the proper i5. The proper i5.
13600K.
Yeah, 13600. Yeah, that's the one. Or the problem is, at that stage, once you're looking at that sort of CPU, I would go for the 7600.
Yeah. I think that's cheaper as well.
But then obviously you need a new motherboard, but you probably need that anyway if you're buying that sort of CPU.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you. That was good. That was good. We'll take that. See, I'm not just a pretty YouTube face. I am the full works, everything you need, the full everything. That's me. Self-revive kit. Yeah, I do want that. I don't know how to play this game properly. I never put. Here's the thing. I don't actually. It's not that I don't enjoy Warzone, but you know when a game like keeps you coming back for more. I just don't get that with this. I think it's just because I'm an Apex Legends person, fan, boy, whatever you want me to be.
Apex fanboy.
Apex fanboy, yeah. But yeah, anyway, point being, you're looking at, we're leaving 20% performance on the table. So what's that, about 115 FPS? Just scale it up, but you will need a better CPU. 115 FPS in Warzone. Yeah. How is the stream anyway? Has this been good? Has this been interesting? Obviously, it's a little bit different because we always do builds, and we thought rather than do a build, I wanted to have a bit more of an open discussion about graphics cards. Does anyone have any thoughts as well about the recent videos we put out? You know, about these graphics cards. We love to hear your feedback, especially as obviously we know we made that mistake in the 4060 Ti video where we didn't test it properly, essentially. So we hold ourselves to a high standard on that one. So apologies, won't happen again. Do you have any ideas or feedback on how as well we can make the build videos better? I guess rather than just sort of taking Nvidia's word for it that this card is. I think essentially the reason we missed it is because they explained the VRAM thing to us with the cache and showed us all the 1080p numbers. So I just assumed that would scale, but it didn't. That's why you don't assume, because it makes an ass out of you and me. Yeah. Still not like, you know, if it had more VRAM, it wouldn't be a, oh dear. If it had more VRAM, it wouldn't even be a particularly terrible card. It's just the combination of price and VRAM. But we seem to be going over that again and again anyway.
Yeah.
Oh, and redeploying.
A lot of people have said they've liked the stream, enjoyed the stream.
It's a bit different, isn't it?
It's interesting. You know, it's nice to just kind of have a chat and catch up with people, get people's opinions. So yeah, it obviously gives us the chance to answer any questions that people have as well about components and, you know, the future of PC gaming and what we want to see from AMD and Nvidia in the future.
Can you do one more poll for us? Because I would love to know the sort of general consensus, really.
Yeah, the last poll, they're very, very close. What price would you pay for a 16 gig 7700 XT?
Oh, which is the big question. If you remember, Lisa Sue, still watching. She loves a Warzone stream. She
loves a Warzone.
Yeah, it's six. They're a bit stuttered there, but I think CPU. 7700 XT is
What
very
price
much
would you say?
AMD's battle to lose. If they muck that up, I'm going to be so sad, because I really want AMD to properly. I'd love AMD back on top again. You know, I mean, I am obviously neutral. Like, I don't, from a job point of view, it doesn't matter to me. You know, and it's important that it doesn't matter to me. I can't want the AMD card to do better. But from a personal point of view, I would love to see more competition, and it would obviously spice up the marketplace better.
Oh yeah, massively. It happened in the CPU market. You know, it'd be great if we can have it happen in the GPU market.
Exactly. But you can't, you know, it was tricky with ARC, wasn't it? Because I think a lot of reviewers, we also said the same thing, which is, look, we really want this to be good, but this is people's money. And the problem is, at launch, it had too many issues. But it's in a really nice little spot now, actually. I think it's something we'll be taking a look at a little bit later. But yeah, back to the original question. How much would I pay for a 16 gig? I mean, $399. I think $399 is the right price, 100%.
So 36% of the vote said 300 to 350. 35%.
But that's not realistic. That's not going to happen, though, is it?
I think 350.
It can't be. If they're selling this for 270,
yeah,
they can't sell a card that much better.
Oh,
for
so we've got
30 more.
We're literally locked. 35% both options for 300 to 399. So I think, you know, if they can hit that 350 to 399 price, I think that's the ideal sort of for it.
Yeah, and I totally agree. So,
and I think that would sell well.
It depends as well how much stock they have, because if they had loads of stock and could produce a load, then they could say, let's get people over to AMD, let's take a smaller amount of profit and get people on the red team.
Yeah,
and
like what the consoles do.
Yeah, but I don't think they can produce enough for that sort of strategy.
Yeah.
But then demand at the moment for graphics cards and PC gaming is down, because I think people that wanted to buy something have finally got something now, and there's not a real reason to upgrade. This is where NVIDIA have gone wrong. Do you think as well part of the reason the 4060 Ti was a bit underwhelming is because they're sort of saving themselves for the next launch, when they can now say, oh, we've got this massive jump in performance. You know, this is a ridiculous level jump. You have to upgrade, not because you need to, but because you want to. Did he just shoot himself? Yeah, that's funny. Yeah, but one more poll. I want to know people's consensus on. But basically, I guess the feedback we're getting at the moment in the comment section and just general on YouTube is so much graphics card hate. Like, people come across that, you know, they're livid. And I'm wondering, is this the consensus of everybody, or is this just the people that shout the loudest? You know, as I say, like, the 4060 Ti is not the right product at the right price.
So is the poll, are all new graphics cards rubbish?
Yes.
Or no?
Well, just go, yeah, so are new graphics cards rubbish? And then you can go no, which no one's going to vote for. Well, no, they might do. You could get something along the lines of like, no, they're not great, they're bad, they are terrible. You know, that sort of, I'm interested in where the heat level is. Because at the moment, it seems as if every single thing that comes out is so bad. Which is also kind of confusing, bearing in mind we've just come out of the, just coming out of the pandemic. Just coming out of the pandemic when everything was so expensive, people would buy anything. It's kind of weird how we've gone like full circle. Don't want to get the stream demonetized. That's why I just got rid of that bit. We're all good. Picture is back. Cool. Yeah, it's just NVIDIA. It's just disappointing, isn't it? It's just disappointing. but hey ho, is what it is. The good news is no one has to buy it. You know, people don't want to buy it, they won't. But I still say 325 for the 4060 Ti, 8 gigabytes of VRAM, 1440p, high settings, high frame rate for multiplayer. I think is actually a very attractive option. Personally, anyway. Depends. That's assuming you're not going to play single-player titles, because, again, that's the other problem with the 4060 Ti. It's not going to be a single-player ultra settings type card. There's a lot going on here. I don't know the buttons, which never helps. I always say that. I don't know the buttons. There are no buttons. It's a keyboard. Oh, I've been flashbanged.
Marcus, do you know when the 7700 XT will come out?
If I knew, I wouldn't be allowed to tell you. But no, I genuinely have no idea. Sorry. Right, that's enough of that. I think we're done. We're done.
We're done. The skills are not the same on Warzone.
No, I mean, no, they're not. But hey ho, is what it is. But yeah, thank you everyone anyway for tuning into the stream. Don't leave yet. We need the results of this poll.
Yeah, for a good start.
Yeah. It's just, I don't know. Let's not forget that a lot of the reason I'm positive in the last few videos and had some good energy is partly because it's what the channel is. I like to be upbeat about things. I'm not really a pessimist. But then also because compared to where we were 2 years ago, we're in a much better spot. And I think that's great and that's worth celebrating. It would just be better if, you know, the graphics cards that came out weren't sort of taking advantage of that, rather than, you know, the Radeon is basically the bare minimum it needs to be like a decent product. Whereas NVIDIA, where have they gone? They're defaced on the floor. Whereas, yeah, with the NVIDIA with the 4060 Ti tried to do the minimum, and they've gone below it, really. But, you know, they can fix it with the price. They can fix it with the price, but will they? It depends as well how good the 4060 is. Because if the 4060, imagine if the 4060 is the same performance as this.
Yeah,
but
it could well be.
Yeah, but the reason though AMD have dropped the price probably is because they know that the 4060 has more performance than that.
Yeah.
So they all need to slot in together.
Yeah.
So I think this will never get a proper price reduction. I think it will get a quiet one. And I think the prices of these will probably drop down to eventually about, what do you think, about 430 or so, 440, but it will take a while to get there. You've got to go off history. You know, there's this, again, so much hate. This thing is trash. This is the worst thing that's happened to anybody in the last ever, right? And yet, 3060 Ti was a brilliant graphics card, and that kept selling throughout. It never stopped selling. So if people were willing to buy that, I think people will be buying this. Yeah. Even if you don't want that.
The summary of the poll?
Yes, please.
Are new graphics cards rubbish?
Yes.
Winning vote is just frustrating.
Okay, what were the options?
A little? Yes, very. So, yeah. Though, surprisingly, yes, very was the lowest. So, you know, people, I think it's more...
There's a lot of heat.
Yeah. 23% were yes, very. 44% were it's just frustrating. But
yeah.
I think a lot of people are just fed up.
Yeah, which is totally fair enough.
You know, I think 70% of that vote is mainly people are just annoyed.
Yeah.
You know, they're not bad cards, they're just not as good as they could have and should have been. Yes,
I will agree with that. I'm just going to have one last look over on overclockers now. I can't spell. Yeah, over on overclockers. I'll bring you guys in on this. Just to have a look at some of these. Just want to see what they're going for, really. DDR5, that's not right. Where are we looking at? 4060 Ti graphics cards. One's on sale, apparently. Save 5%. 380. You're all good, Carl. Creaky chair over there. That is so rubbish, though, isn't it? That chair is Herman Miller, the best chair ever, except it creaks like that. It's kind of really annoying.
It's very loud.
Price ascending. 375. We've dropped a fiver on day one. Yeah, I would love to know how well these are selling. Even unofficially, I would love to know. I still think that people will buy them. People bought 3060s. As I say, the worst way of looking at this is in the most negative, not saying right or wrong. Most negative way of looking about this is that it's basically the same as the previous card. There's not really any performance difference, and the VRAM has stayed the same. So what is the point? Whereas the best way of looking at this is, oh, well, it's got DLSS 3 now. It's got slightly better ray tracing. It's better rasterization, and it's the same price. Brilliant. So because it's not technically worse than the last one, I think people will still be buying them because not everyone watches YouTube videos reviews. But yeah, it is pretty rubbish, isn't it? You think generation on generation leap should be what, 20–30%?
Yeah.
Between that.
You think if it lined up across the stack, if 3090 or 4090 is 50% better than a 3090, what? Keep that sort of momentum going. Get everybody happy.
And I think you would have thought they would need to as well, as like the market's so quiet at the moment.
Yeah, it's hard to tell. I don't know.
They've got one. They've got one, and it's 260.
Is there still so many GPUs left over from the pandemic?
I think they're starting to dry out.
Are we done?
We're done.
Are we done with 30 series? Because there was all that talk. Oh, there's so many left over.
Okay, right. One last topic, right, to wrap up, because it's 7 o'clock and Carl has to go see his missus, I believe. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Which is fair enough. We've dealt with keeping. I would actually say the biggest driver of new games coming forward is not performance, it is VRAM. And this is why it's such a big topic, because 30 series and something like 6700 XT, still more than enough performance than most people need. Why upgrade? What game do you need to be able to play? Something like Dead Space Remake I really enjoyed that. It looked phenomenal. The ray tracing on that was really good. Other than the stuttery mess that it was on all systems. Really loved that. It was fantastic next gen. But what other games really are coming out that excite you, that are truly next gen and need more power? There's not really many. And the ones that are coming out are more limited now, as it seems, than with VRAM. So this is why AMD graphics cards suddenly look more attractive, because they're like, I've already got it. We're good. We don't need to upgrade. We're good. And then AMD, NVIDIA's a little bit like, well, here's basically the same card as we had before. It's got the same memory, slightly lower memory bus, but we've got DLSS 3, which will be fantastic in ray tracing, but only at 1080p, because if you go to 1440p, you're going to be VRAM limited. So, yeah, that's the thing I think that actually pissed the most people off about the NVIDIA card, was the fact that they were saying £400 on a graphics card. Or sorry, let's be technical, 300 and what was it? 380, 370, something like that. Let's get this right. Don't want to upset NVIDIA. Couldn't do that, could we? Yeah, okay, 375. Gamers that want to spend £375, they play at 1080p. 1440p is it's not the one, which, as we know, is just rubbish. I mean, this card can do 1440p. So to say that this is only a 1080p card is what's angered a lot of people and did piss me off, to be honest. But hey-ho, as we saw in the video, it can handle much higher resolutions than that in certain titles. Just going to run into VRAM limitations in those single-player titles. So multiplayer, good. Single-player, something else. Thank you so much for watching this video. I really hope you've enjoyed it. Thanks for tuning into the stream. Anything else, Carl? Any last things?
There's no more super chats, so we're all good. We're all up to date with everybody.
Do you want to just say some names quickly, because I know
we'll give some quick
people love it.
Shout outs. XIS Fast X, he's been very active in the chat.
Love him.
XIS Fast X.
Love it.
What a Cry. Do you want to cry? Maybe with these GPU prices, you might. Average Cuba 16, maybe average. I'm not sure what Cuba is, but maybe cucumber. We've got drip sauce. He's in the chat.
Yeah.
Or drop sauce. I'm still not sure. Blue Pulse.
Blue Pulse.
Blue Pulse. That's a good name.
That is a good name.
That's a good name. Crazy Otter Hound. People think the names these people have are incredible. Alex Maps. Nice, good name.
Maps.
There. Maps. Dirty D. Joe Higgins.
You've gone deeper all of a sudden. Joe Higgins.
As soon as I saw Dirty D. Puma 71. They've been inactive in the chat as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Love
there's
it.
been a lot of good people here today.
Yeah.
We appreciate everyone.
No, we really do. We were saying when we did ironically, the apology stream, just how much I love doing live. And I know Cole, you enjoy doing it, right?
Yeah, I enjoy the lives, yeah.
Yeah, we really enjoy doing them. So thank you so much for tuning in. I hope scheduling in advance actually helped. Next time we'll schedule it more than an hour in advance, but we're getting there, we're learning, and we won't be late next time, probably. But thank you so much for watching. Check out our full build of this on the channel as well, if you haven't already. And we'll see you in the next one.
Bye.
I'll press the off button.